This podcast is brought to you by Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate, powered by Kangaroo Fern Media Lab. Kangaroo Fern is Australia's independent video and podcast management agency with the mission to help individuals and entrepreneurs to start their own podcasts and harness the power of podcasting. Book now via www.kangaroofern.com.
A Kangaroo Fern production.
A Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate.
Thing we can do is just get stops and run. Stops and run, guys. Push, push, push every time.
Extra session with Kiko Malicdem tackles everything about the world of sports, especially the one close to the host heart, basketball. Updates, discussion, clarification, name it. Extra session has it. Extra session with Kiko Malicdem.
That's how they're getting their points. Rebound favors battles and gets it away from Bob Mote out the hill for three.
Okay, good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Extra Session with Kiko Malicdem here in Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate, Philippines. Today, we're very fortunate to have with us as a guest a former PBA Reinforcement. He played for the popular Purefoods franchise in the 2005-2006 and 2009 season, wherein he was a judge as the best import in the PBA Fiesta Cup. His intensity and passion on the court helped the Purefoods Chunky Giants to a runner-up finish, and because of this, he went on as one of the best imports of the said franchise. Without further ado, basketball fans, I present you Marquin Chandler. Marquin, good day.
Yeah, good day. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Everything is so laid back after, the world of sports suddenly came to a halt because of pandemic. So, how are you? What's keeping you busy nowadays?
My kids. Really, that's what's keeping me busy. Them, dealing with this pandemic, trying to make sure they're not going stir crazy, being in the house too much, trying to make sure, mentally they're okay, trying to stay up as good as we can on their education and doing this homeschooling stuff that everybody's dealing with now. Now, I'm sure it's a struggle, just trying to make our way through, but they're doing good for the most part.
I see. And since, have you tried to play basketball already? Since, of course, we all know that since March, the world of sports stopped, professional playing. Have you tried to practice on your own?
Yeah, I actually found a little league out here that they had going on. So I kind of like put myself in the league, a couple games in. But yeah, I have. That's probably the first time I really played since March. Since March, I probably played maybe 2 times. And then I finally joined this league, and I played 3 games so far. So 5 times since March, man. It hurts, man. Ball is life, man.
Are you trying to adjust yourself? Of course, you haven't played for several months.
Yeah, I am. I'm actually trying to get myself back in the basketball shape, and so now after every time I play, I don't have to feel like crap the next day. I'm trying to get my body back used to it. But yeah, it's been hurting now, but I'm getting there.
So let's talk about your colorful basketball career. How did you actually start? Were you really a basketball loving guy when you were still a small boy?
Yeah, ever since I was 2 years old, my dad bought me a Dr. J basketball court, a little adjustable basketball court. And ever since then, I haven't put a ball down, man. So since 2 years old, this has been my life.
And of course, in college, I started playing with George Washington University, but then transferred to San Jose University. What was the reason behind this transfer?
It was a big thing that went on with the school, and all our coaches got fired. So then a new coaching staff came in. Good guys, but a lot of times when you're at college, if you get a coaching change, you're usually not their recruit. So you sometimes that first year is really hard to adjust because it's a coach coming into a new team that he hasn't recruited. He doesn't know any of the kids. He's kind of okay, you guys are here, but next year it's like, my first year because then I could recruit all my people and you know that was my sophomore year. That was like the time I felt like I could take that next step, but you know, kind of got derailed a little bit, so I didn't really feel like.
Your podcast journey starts here. Take the first step on your side. Hustle with us. It starts with a great domain. Get your podcast web host with Beard and Coffee at www.beardandcoffee.com.au or find us at Facebook.
It was a good situation anymore, so I transferred back home, and I just had my daughter too, so I picked the
Yeah.
school.
So, but of course, that move paid dividends in your career as you blossomed in San Jose. After college, you tried your luck in the NBA, right? In the summer league. Unfortunately, things didn't go as planned. But
Right.
then, you, what was the factor, in your opinion, that could have landed you a spot in the NBA, if ever?
What you mean? Why I didn't? You don't feel why I
Yes,
didn't?
yes.
I feel like uh, my coach didn't push me as much.
I
Like,
see.
but it was like Rocky. It was like Rocky. He ended up getting fired. He ended up getting caught having like 2 DUIs and a hit and run and all that stuff. So people don't know. Like my senior year was like crazy, man.
Mm,
Like my coach went to jail mid-season. Like it was a crazy year. So I think that, and just the fact that I wasn't at a big school.
I see.
You know, if I
Mm,
was if I would have did the same thing I did there at a bigger school, I would have probably walked in the NBA.
yeah, I understand. Now, you were able to show your skills in front of the Filipino, after the NBA tryout. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
After you suited up for the Purefoods team, how were you able to travel and play in the PBA? Did someone recruit you? Someone invited you? What happened?
It
how
happened by
were you
accident.
able to play in the PBA?
It happened by accident. If people don't know, um, when I did the summer league with the Kings, I couldn't get anything guaranteed, so I took a deal in Belgium that same year.
Okay.
But my junior year of college, going into my senior year that summer, I
Yes.
got I got in a really bad motorcycle accident. I almost died. I got trapped
Oh.
under a car. I was like, I had to get rushed to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
So in during that motorcycle accident, I like tore my left shoulder up, like dislocated everything. Like I played my entire senior season in an arm sling.
Ugh.
Like after every game, I had doctors note that after every game, 2 days I would have to leave my arm in the sling, and I couldn't practice. So I went to Belgium first,
Mm-hmm.
and I was playing. We were training in Italy, and I tried to go through I was playing defense. I tried to go through a screen, and my arm got tangled, and my shoulder popped out mid game. Italy, and even my coaches in them knew that I had a shoulder issue. When it popped out in the game, they was like, "It's too early for this," because it was still preseason.
Yes.
So
Yes.
they was like, "Nope." They changed me up, sent me back home, and when I got back home, I don't think I was here that long. Um, my agent called me and said, "Hey, this team in the Philippines wants you. I think you should take this because you got a really good recommendation from somebody."
Mm-hmm.
And the thing the Filipino people don't know is Coach Ryan, who was our coach, he never saw me play.
Yeah.
He never seen me play at all. He didn't see game tape. He never saw anything about me. He just because he told me the story, he got a call from a scout from the Toronto Raptors.
Oh, Jim
Uh,
Kelly? Jim Kelly? Something like that?
I think so. So he said, if that's who it is, he said Jim called him and said, "Hey, this guy just became available. You better go get him."
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I ended up getting to the Philippines.
Wow. So, they took a gamble without seeing you out. I
Big
mean,
gamble.
yeah. But then, of course, you surprise everyone with your play, as you led the team to victories. Can you describe, or what was the fondest memories of your play in the PBA?
Are you a podcaster who's getting frustrated because your show results are not in your favor? Are you losing hope because you feel like podcasting doesn't help you generate income? Are you a podcast service provider who is struggling to meet your clients' expectations? If yes, head on to www.podkai.com. Book a call with the founder of Podkai Media, Kai Villanueva, and get clear and proven strategies to earn through podcasting.
That year or just overall?
Overall.
It was everything for me. It was like, this where I'm gonna have to talk a little bit. So when I first got there, what people don't know is, like I told you, Coach Ryan never saw me.
Yes.
So when I got there, they only heard about me. So when I got off the plane and they saw me, as you guys know, I was slender.
Yes.
I wasn't like a really big, you know how you guys are used to getting really big, strong ex-NBA players and stuff.
Yes.
I was slender. So like I told you, they never seen me before. So they was like, this can't be this guy. He's too small. So so when you come in from San Francisco airport where I came in, you used to get in at like 3-4 in the morning. So I got in. The first thing they did was take me to McDonald's. And they took me to Gold's Gym at 5 in the morning.
Wow.
It said, oh, go lift weights. We want to see your weight regimen. We want to see you lift. And I was pissed. I'm like, it's 5 in the morning. I just got off a 13-hour flight. Like, it's the middle of the night here, but I feel like it's the middle of the day at home. So I'm like all thrown off, So 5 in the morning, they try to make me lift weights. So I was mad, and I picked up like a 5-pound weight, and I was curling it, like looking at them like, this is stupid. So after that, they saw I wasn't gonna lift, so they was like, all right, I wouldn't drop my bags off. Then they took me straight to practice. And
wow.
As you know, I'm a player, like as you guys got to witness, and it always didn't help. Some of the times I went, I had bad choices at times out there. But when they took me to practice, I was just so mad that it was like, whoever you put in front of me, I'm going to destroy. So when practice started, that's when they got to see Chandler.
Wow.
I just went across the board and made sure everybody in that practice felt me. And then they sent me home, say, go have a couple of days off, and let me rest and get adjusted. And then that's when everything just started clicking. Yeah.
So the key was the McDonald's and the Gold's Gym. So the key was the McDonald's and the Gold's Gym.
Yeah, that was the key. That was the key. But one of my best memories there that I hold near and dear to my heart was like where I come from. I come from Oakland, in Oakland, California. If you know, Oakland is a really rough, tough place to grow up in. So I always had this picture in my mind of like, I got it so bad. I had it so bad. I had to persevere through a lot of stuff. Yeah. And when I got to the Philippines, I couldn't understand why everybody was so nice with the conditions of certain areas.
Yes.
I couldn't understand why you guys were so nice. Like I would have been mad because I think that's like an American thing. Like you gotta be mad. But you guys were so welcoming, like so loving. Like, and it took me a long time to adjust to that. Like, wow, like you guys are the nicest people. And it's not a podcast thing because, if anybody that know me know I love the Philippines. I trusted you guys to have my daughter birth there and everything. Oh. You guys made me feel so welcome that I had to make sure I gave Purefoods everything.
I see. And it showed in the court.
I felt like you guys welcomed me in. And at that time, I was rough. I was like, I was kind of crazy a little bit. But it was just my upbringing, and like you guys made me feel comfortable. That's why I never left Purefoods.
I see.
That's why I never went to any other team. I could have went to Red Bull. I heard some little sayings in the background and maybe some other teams.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Cheryl, because that was a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
She was helping me out a lot of that time. But that's why I stayed with Purefoods, because I feel like how they welcome me in.
So you want to start a podcast, or perhaps you've already started one, but you're still unclear on how you can actually make this podcasting work. No worries. That's why we're here for you. We are Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate, powered by Kangaroo Fern Media Lab. Join our network. Contact us at info@kangaroofern.com because we're stronger together.
Was like special. So any year was special. My MVP year, the first year, I think that was like my favorite team all time.
I see.
Yeah.
And
so
who were your close buddies in the team?
huh?
Who were your close buddies in the Purefoods team?
Everybody. If you go look at like pictures from that time,
Mm-hmm.
we always all did something together.
I see.
Even though I was like I was close with, the closest I was early was Kerby.
Oh, Kerby, yeah.
Kerby was my guy. It's still my guy, always my guy.
Yeah.
But Kerby was the one I connected with most. And then I think it was PJ.
Oh.
Because PJ was young and I was young. And so PJ used to like my moves. And he'd be like, man, show me. So and then I caught James young too. So you gotta understand, I caught James Yap young, fresh, before he was James Yap.
Yeah.
But it was everybody, it was all the guys.
I see.
Like every one of them, those was like, I think that's why that first year was so special. Even though we lost, and even though I hate myself for missing that floater because I thought he was gonna take a charge. That team was special.
Yeah.
And I know that team was special because right after that, Purefoods won the All Filipino League.
Mm-hmm.
That next conference when there was no Purefoods, they won.
Yes.
Like, and we were picked, I think, to finish like 6th or something like that season.
Yeah, I see.
And we lost in the finals, and I think, it was just a special team, a special time. Like, you could never duplicate that. Like, Coach Ryan was young. That was his first coaching job.
Yeah.
That was his first year. Like, we were all young, like, hey, guys, let's figure this out, and we did, and, that team. But, I always hung out with all the guys, whoever. But, the most was probably Kerby. It was Kerb, Ping, PJ, James.
Yeah. Well, for PJ, well, he just retired this year from playing, Yeah. And he's still under Purefoods, after all this time. Yeah. Well, we had Kerby before, and I agree, he's a very mellow and, very easy to approach with. That's why I was not surprised that you hit off with Kerby when you first arrived.
Oh yeah, nah, because Kerby was like he was almost like the young veteran. He was like the captain. He was the guy. Kerb was the guy.
Yeah.
Kerb was the guy I had to like, all right, Kerby, it's me and you. We're the captains of this.
Yes.
Let's curate this and put this together and make something special. And Kerby was a special player. Like, Kerby was rock solid for us.
I see.
Rock solid. Like, I love playing with Kerby.
That, of course, you first played 2005, 2006 season, and then you returned to the team in 2009. Why did it take around 4 years before you came back?
Because I did so well there with you guys. I was getting calls from everywhere. and, at that point, it's like when you play international, sometimes you have to leave for a little while.
Yes.
And go play in certain places because of the timing. And that's how, like, you increase your pay.
Oh, I see.
It's like, I was getting so many offers at that time in so many leagues. Like if I go play a year or two over here, I would triple my pay now.
Wow.
And it was kind of like one of them things. So I was like, I couldn't sell myself short. But that's why I came back, though. It was like the first time I got the chance to come back, I brought myself back, man. I came back to you guys because I was missing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
was there a time when you doubted your capabilities, especially when the teams are trying to find a way to shut you down?
No, I felt like for me, the adjustment was the physicality because I was used to it.
Okay.
But I love the Philippines too because it's so passionate. But they kind of play, every team had that reinforcement player that you seen they got 5 fouls.
Yes.
So I think my thing wasn't even so much of the other players. It was me being able to control my own temper. Because it was certain players that were good in physical, and it was just certain players that were just physical.
I see.
It was more so, can I control myself?
Mm-hmm.
At that time.
I see. When you came back for the second campaign, 2009, the team fell short of its target. What do you think was the reason why the result didn't go to your team's favor?
For one, it was a new team with some new players that I think they didn't have it figured out yet before I got there.
Oh, I see. Okay.
When I got there, it was already turmoil.
Oh.
I'm not gonna speak to it, and speak to behind what happens in locker room stuff, but it was some turmoil that year.
Yes.
That we couldn't bring it together and overcome. Because my first 2 years we had a core. We had a core group of players that was there every time. This time we had some additional players that wasn't.
We are Independent Podcast Network. We are Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate. Would you like to hear your brand while supporting quality podcasts? Contact us now at advertise@guerrillapodcastsyndicate.com.
Traditional Purefoods players.
Okay.
So it was like sometimes it was a tug of war. Like you guys are good, but I'm here now kind of stuff. And it was like, and then it also was like, no, this is our team, so we don't want to give the rope up. So it was a tug going on behind the scenes.
Okay.
And it was a tug going on from the players to the coach So I feel like on paper, that was probably the best team.
I see.
On paper. Like you going down the line of who we had on the team at the time, that was a good team on paper, but it just didn't mesh well. Chemistry is everything.
Now, you seem to be intense, when you play inside the basketball court. Was there a time that, you can recall you got an altercation on the court with the player in the PBA?
Yeah, two. Two of them. And it was funny because it was my first, it was the semifinals my first year. It was
Air 21?
Air 21. Yeah. It was Air 21 and I don't know why I'm drawing blank right now, but I'll think of his name. That's when he tried to pick me up and we got in a little altercation and I almost got suspended. But the camera in the crowd, the third camera, not the TV camera, the stadium camera caught what really happened, and that's what saved me from getting suspended.
Oh.
And 2009 year, I blew up in the quarterfinals?
Quarterfinals.
I had an outburst in the quarterfinals, and it was a little tussle, and I lost my cool that game. And I think it was Arlen Santos.
Oh, he's still playing right now.
I think it was Arlen.
Yeah.
and we got in a little tussle. But it was one of the times. That was the time that them doing that got the best of me,
I
and it
see.
hurt us because then Coach Ryan didn't play me the entire second half.
I see.
Yeah, he never put me back in the game.
So your contemporaries, or your, the ones that you played in the PBA during your time, one by one, they're slowly, fading away, retiring. The question is, have you retired from playing basketball, or you're still on the go?
No, I'm retired.
Mhm.
I retired. I really retired like 5 years ago.
Oh,
Done little stuff like I wouldn't play little cups and stuff just to kind of like, like I was getting the itch, so I went and played in something real quick and came back. But I
ah.
retired 5 years ago.
What was the turning factor or the turning point that decided you, I'm gonna shut it off, something like that?
Injuries.
Injuries. Wow.
I played my entire career with scoliosis.
Oh,
Like I got severe cases like scoliosis, and towards the end of my career, I couldn't stop from getting injured. Like my back was giving out, and when you got scoliosis, you tend to lean to one side, so you start overcompensating. So I was getting like little nagging injuries,
mm-hmm.
and it wasn't like bad injuries, like I like blew a knee out or like ankle really bad. It was just kind of like I'll pull my groin, or like when I went to play like even when I went and played the national team, when I played the Philippine national team when we was out in Taiwan in
Jones
the
Cup.
Jones,
Yeah.
like it was little stuff like I hurt my wrist. It was like little stuff that kept happening. It was like I can't keep doing this. Like I tore my abductor muscle, so then I had to sit out like 6 to 8 weeks. It was like little dumb stuff, and then my back was always hurting. So it's like it's time to give it up, man.
Was it hard for you to accept it, that you're playing years or not?
Very much so.
I see.
It was really hard, especially when you go out because of injuries and not because it's just like you can't keep up with the game. It's tough.
I see. How were you able to overcome it? Accept it. How were you able to accept it?
Time, therapy, and adjustment
I see.
to adjusting to not being a basketball player.
I see. So after your playing career, your professional playing career, what kept you busy? Of course, there are some players when they stop playing already professional ball, they venture into coaching, they venture into training. How about you? What did you do?
I went to the training early. I did a little bit of coaching, but I also like business-wise, I was doing a few things, so I was trying to figure out like what I was gonna put my time into.
I see.
Like then because like when you retire, you just got all day now. It's like I don't have to get up and go to practice. I don't have to go weight train. I don't have to do this extra work. I just kind of got all day to do stuff now. So it's like figuring out what you're gonna put your time into, understanding what you're good at. That's not basketball related. Spending the time with my kids and my wife that they sacrificed all them years with me, like traveling and playing and not being home all the time. So it's really trying to figure out how to balance life.
I see.
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss an episode by clicking on the subscribe button now. This podcast is possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your support. Now back to the show.
Now, what are the rituals? Could you recall the rituals that you do before playing basketball, or do you have any rituals? I mean,
I had some, not so much in the Philippines, but later on in my career, I used to always like when I played in Korea for all those years. I used to make a few of the teams like they would have to put like hot and cold tubs inside of the gym. Because most of the time I wasn't the player that go out and shoot before the game 2 and 3 times.
Okay.
I like sit in water and listen to music up until like an hour before the game. Then
Okay.
I get out, stretch. I try to drink like a gallon of water. That was my ritual. I would turn my music on. Hour and a half before the game, I get in the water. I sit in the water for 30 minutes while I listen to my music, and I'm drinking water while I'm sitting in the water. And I
Mm.
got to be able to kill a gallon of water before the game starts. And I need to pee twice. That was like my ritual.
Now, in your own perspective, what were the difference of how the games are played before and now?
What you mean when I was playing earlier in my career to now?
Yes. Yes.
It's more softer.
Oh.
It's softer.
Now, what advice could you give to someone, wanting to follow a footsteps of our Marquin Chandler?
I had so many obstacles. Reason why I could have stopped, like from scoliosis to almost dying in that motorcycle crash to, you know, just dealing with my own like issues. Like it was so many reasons I could have stopped, but I never stopped. Like I could have been down after I got home from Belgium and curled up in the ball, but I ended up like not letting that shake me and going to the Philippines and like thinking about how ironic it was. Like I got hurt in Belgium,
I
sent
see.
home, came straight to the Philippines, won the MVP and lost in the championship. All that happened in 1 year.
Wow. So if you have a chance, for example, you're around 38 right now, right? 38,
Yeah,
39?
38,
38.
38.
What would a 38-year-old Markin Chandler tell a 21-year-old Markin Chandler?
Get in shape and calm down. Make sure you're in tip top shape and calm down, man. Go get some. Make sure you got that. Yeah.
I see. So, okay. So I have here, before we end, I have here some questions. Just tell me on top of your mind or on top of your head, the
Yeah.
first thing that you think of, okay?
Okay.
Favorite PBA player,
PJ.
PJ. Favorite NBA player,
Current or all time?
all time.
Jordan.
Favorite team in the NBA growing up.
I want to say the Warriors, but it had to be Chicago because they had the most influence over me.
I see. Now, player in the PBA that made you say, wow, he's good.
There's a lot of them, man. There's a lot of good players. Mark Caguioa.
Wow.
I'm gonna just go down the list.
Okay.
Mark, because I want to get him notice. Mark was really good. Of course, like my whole Purefoods team was good. Villanueva was good. We always battled. I really liked him. What was it? L.A.
Tenorio.
Tenorio. Yeah, L.A. was good. I liked him. He was gritty. I'm trying to think because Talking Tex had a few of them. Like more like Kerry. His strong. He was always a problem. I always respected him. When he was there, Eric Mink.
Oh, yeah.
When he was in his prime, he was really good. Jimmy, of course, Jimmy. Even though I never had to guard Jimmy that much, even though I never had to guard Jimmy that much, I hated playing against him. I loved playing against him, but his ass was good, man. It was a few.
Okay.
I can't think of everybody's name off the top. If I'd have known this question before, I would have gave you a list because it was some players in the PBI I really respect. Like they really made me play my best. Like it was some players that I had to go to sleep a little bit earlier the night before because I wanted to make sure I was ready.
But of course, when you played in the States, you played three or two or three position.
Mm-hmm.
But
I played 1 through 4. Really depends where I was at. Yeah.
I see. So there wasn't much adjustment when you came to the Philippines.
No, Nah, because that was how I played in college.
I
I
see.
was inside and outside. So I was ready. I was ready for the Philippines,
I
and
see.
I was more of a physical player. So when I started seeing them playing physical, I'm like, oh, I like this league. Yeah.
Now, player in the PBA that you had a hard time defending,
Filipino or just
Filipino or import, either way.
the only one I wouldn't say I had a hard time defending. His arm was so long. It was James Penny, man.
Who's
James
oh
Penny.
James Penny, Red Bull.
I couldn't I couldn't get that right hand straight arm hook. I could never reach it, man. It was like I always missed it. Like, and it wasn't like he was just beating me. I could not catch that shot. So I would probably say him, and I would probably say help me remember. I can't think of his name off top. He had 1 year where he was like really in his bag. Who did he? He played for San Miguel my first year. He was
Filipino
about
or import?
Filipino, about 6'6".
Ah,
A little bit of guard skills.
6'6". Danny Seigle, Danny Ildefonso.
Danny Seigle.
Oh, Danny Seigle. Yeah.
Not the tall Seagull, the shorter Seagull.
Yeah.
Danny. 1 year, Danny was on his game. It
Yeah.
was 1 year he was on his game. Man. Like I was like, yeah, Danny, all right, man.
Now,
Danny.
player in the PBA that you had a hard time eluding the defense.
I don't think I had one player. I think certain players called me at certain times.
I
I
see.
don't think it was just one that I was like, oh man, I can't get anything off. It was certain teams put certain strategies together. Like Red Bull knew how to get under my skin.
Oh yeah, under Coach Yang. Oh man.
I wanted to choke Coach Yang a few times.
Yeah.
And it was funny because early in my career, I hated Coach Yang, but I learned to respect him towards the end. Like I knew what he was doing. It was all part of winning. Like you gotta understand when you learn somebody's vices and you go after them, you gotta respect that because it was on me not to react. But he knew how to do it, man. He knew how to do it good.
And until now, he's doing that.
And there was one player. Who did he played for Air 21? And you know what I'm talking about.
Homer's Day.
Got it under everybody's skin.
Oh, Winnie Arboleda.
No, keep going.
Homer Se. I forgot.
He was a nag, man. And I think he went to like San Miguel. He was a nag, man. Nag. I can't out think of his name right now.
Yeah, it's okay. Well, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out soon.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But him, when I think of his name, he was the one. He got under my skin.
I see.
He it wasn't even so much the defense. He could always get a charge or two on me because I'd be overly aggressive with him.
I see. So
Yeah.
what's the worst injury that you had?
When I rolled my ankle. I
see.
rolled my ankle one time and it should have broke, but it didn't, and it stretched all my ligaments out.
Ouch. That hurts.
And then I had like all kind of scar tissue and I had bone spurs and I ended up having to get surgery on that later. That was probably my worst stuff.
I see. If you were to choose a good defender or a good scorer, and MVP or championship?
Championship.
Last question, if we were to check your gym bag before, what things are we going to see that will shock or surprise us?
I don't think anything will shock or surprise you. I probably didn't play in as many shoes as people thought I did.
I see.
Like sometimes I might have played in the same shoe the whole season, or I might play in the whole season. You know, like a lot of players like changing their shoes a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like it. I had like not funny feet, but my feet was the shape of my feet. I always got to break a shoe in. So once I break a shoe in, I usually stay with it.
Ah, I see.
You will see the same dirty shoe in my bag for months. Like, dang man, you got all these shoes over here? Why you don't get that? Because I broke that shoe in. And I'm a player, like I'm very sensitive to how I play. So like,
Mm-hmm.
if I like how a certain shoe stop, to hit the brakes how it stops. And
Yeah.
once I got it broken in, I'm probably gonna wear that shoe forever. Like it's funny. If I went and got my gym shoe, I've been wearing the same pair of Damian Lillard's for 4 years.
I see. So that wraps up our episode in Extra Session. Do you have any message to your fans, family, or friends?
Everybody in the Philippines, thank you. Thank you for taking in a young kid trying to find his way and pretty much loving me like I was Filipino. Thank you for letting me and my wife have one of the best birthing experiences at Medical City. And having my daughter Anaya, who I will be bringing out next year, so she could get registered, so she could have her dual citizenship.
Oh,
So if I
that's
win
good.
for her, she could play for the national team.
Yeah, that would be great. Um,
And
that would be.
just thank you, thank you for having me, thank you for loving me.
I see.
Yeah.
So, thank you again, Markin, for this opportunity. It's been a while since we last, talked to you. I mean, you went to the Philippines around 2019, perhaps 2019, something like that. But they weren't able to talk to you as much. Like learning how you started basketball, your journey in the Philippines, something like that. So this is something new to the Philippine basketball fans. Thank you for spending time with us. It was indeed a great honor for us to have you in this podcast, and hope we can have you again sometime in the near future.
Yeah, just let me know. And prayers to everybody out there. I hope y'all made it out of the storm safe. I'll see you guys soon.
Okay, so this has been Kiko Malicdem, and on behalf of the Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate, games are always exciting if there is an extra session.
Thank you for listening. Make sure to visit our website at www.guerrillapodcastsyndicate.com, where you can subscribe to the show in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or via RSS, so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, rate and review this podcast and share it with your friends. You can also join the conversation with Guerrillas RV on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Please consider on making a donation to help us keep making the podcast you love. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us.
A Kangaroo Fern production.